Hey everyone, it's Alice and I'm here today with my guide to bookish terms. So I put a tweet up on Twitter a couple of weeks ago about this to see whether there were any bookish terms that you guys had found difficult to get your heads around when you first joined the bookish community. And I've gathered those together. I've also gathered some ideas of my own and I've put them together into this handy dandy guide. If there's anything that isn't in here that you are confused about, please let me know down in the comments, unless it is an acronym or a shortened form of a book, because I will have another video going up in about a week or so where I'm going to run through all of the kind of acronyms that you can see regularly on Twitter, on Facebook, that people refer to, that you might not necessarily know which book it stands for, because I find them a little bit exclusionary. It can be difficult for people who are new to the community to get their heads around those terms. So this is just my way of saying, like, if you are new to the community and you are having a hard time getting your head around everything, it's okay. We were all there at one point and we all struggled to come to terms with some of the terms that I used. So this is just a little guide for anybody who's got any kind of confusion around bookish terminology or anybody new to the community. And as I said, make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see the video going up in a couple of weeks, because then I'll be referring to all of the acronyms and things. This is just like a basic guide to things you might see around that you might not necessarily know what they are. Most of them are pretty obvious. So if you watch this and you think that it's just me stating the obvious a lot, I'm mostly doing this to help potential bookworms from other countries, if English isn't their first language and they might struggle with that aspect of it. But this is just trying to be helpful and trying to help welcome new members to the community and be as inclusive as we can be. So this is going to be alphabetical, so I will possibly timestamp, depending on how easy it is to break it down. If there's anything that I go into detail about, or if there's anything I think a lot of people will be confused about, I will try and timestamp it down in the chapters in the description. So if there's anything specific you're looking for, feel free to skip ahead. If not, I'll just give you a quick rundown of everything that I could think of and some of the things that you guys suggested for me as well. So to start off, I've got 1/1. Now this one means that it's a first edition and it's the first printing. So sometimes if you have a first edition book, it might not necessarily be a first printing, because if just all first editions have, say, sprayed edges, that would mean that even if it went through like another printing, if it was still that first edition, then it could still have those sprayed edges. So the way to account for this is if you look in the front of your book, let me try and find an example, one that I know does it. Some publishers do this differently, so do not take this as like a rule that will work for all books. But for example, in this one, it says first published in 2014, this edition in 2016, so this isn't a first edition, but it's also got the number 9 underneath it, so you can tell that this is the 9th print run of this edition. Sometimes they do it slightly differently. I'll see if I can find another one really quickly. I should have thought ahead and planned this out. That one doesn't do it. So for example, in this edition of King of Scars, you've got at the top there a row of numbers, and it's got a 1 at one end, a 2 at the other end, a 3 at the other end, a 4 at the other end. If you've got a book like that, it's normally whichever the lowest number is, that is the edition you've got. So if the lowest number you've got is a 3, that's like a third. So this is a first edition, first printing, because it's got a 1 in it. Forgive me if that's not completely right, that's what I've gathered, but again, if you can help me understand that a bit more, because that's something that still baffles me, and I've been doing bookish stuff for 7 years now, so things are still confusing. The next term is ARC, and an ARC is an advanced reader copy. I've got one, for example, here for you. So advanced reader copies are books that are sent out early to publicists, to booksellers, to authors, to bloggers, to booktubers, so that we can read the book early, review it, promote it, and hype it up before its release. You can get them in a variety of different places. You can get them on Goodreads giveaways. Sometimes the authors will do giveaways. Illumicrate used to feature an ARC in their box every few months, and I know there's some book boxes that still do that. Or you can request them directly from the publishers. Just follow all of their social media things and see if you can find out the details that way. They are also known as proofs. So this one, on the spine it has book proof, but on the back it has advanced galley, because ARCs proofs can also be known as galleys. I incorrectly thought that that was just for e-ARCs, which are ARCs that you can get online, but apparently that's a term that's used quite regularly for proofs. So yeah. I will say quickly, I'm going to put it in here even though it's not alphabetically the same. This can also count for manuscripts. So a manuscript is normally the prequel, effectively, to a proof. So a manuscript won't have the cover, it will just be kind of bound in like normally just plain black, and it's typeset very differently. It will just have a standard type, and that's like the very, very earliest copy. So if you see anybody referencing an MS or a manuscript, pretty much the same thing. It's just a really, really early copy of the book. Next up, we've got B and N. B and N stands for Barnes and Noble, which is a bookstore chain in America. We've then got BAM, which is Books A Million, another bookstore chain in America, but you'll often see that these two do special editions, so people will refer to the BAM edition of something or the B&N edition of something else. Just helps you know which store they're coming from. You've then got BD, this is Book Depository. As far as I'm aware, they do free shipping for every single country in the world, so this is one that you might see quite regularly if you're not in UK or America, and you're looking for places with free shipping. A book box. A book box is a subscription box that you can get. It often comes with a book and also goodies that are related to either bookish fandoms or kind of stationery items, things that can be used in a bookish way. There are some boxes that don't come with books, so they'll be inspired by the books instead. So you might be able to get like a special collector's edition box to open up with your book. But those are less common as far as I'm aware. We then have Bookstagram. This is bookish stuff on Instagram. BookTok, bookish stuff on TikTok. BookTube, bookish stuff on YouTube. If you don't know what BookTube is, how are you here? BookTwit. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but people just refer to bookish Twitter as BookTwit. I don't know why it loses all of the vowels, but it does. BOTM, this is Book of the Month. So Book of the Month is a subscription service. It is exclusively in America, I think. Now my light's died. Do I have another light? We will find out. There we go, that's my light battery changed. And as I was saying, Book of the Month, I believe they are exclusively American, but they are a subscription service. You can pay to get a book sent through to your door every month. And I think you can choose which book you get, but then you can also pay each month to get add-ons. So I think there's 5 books that you can choose between. You can get one, but you can add on the rest of them. So this is a good chance to get some new releases that you might not necessarily pick up yourself. But yeah. BTS. This is not the popular K-pop band. This is buy, trade, or sell. So you'll normally find these in groups. People will put up what they have that they are looking to buy, what they are looking to trade, and what they are selling themselves. A buddy read. This is when you get a buddy and you read a book with them. You can do this as a big group, you can do this with just one other person, you can do it that you read a set amount of chapters a day, or you just read it in the same time span, or just like a more relaxed version where you just both read the book and then talk about it a lot at the end. CR. This is what you are currently reading. DISO or ISO, that's desperately in search of or in search of. So these are the things that you're on your wish list that you really, really want to get hold of. DNF, did not finish. So a book that is so bad that you've just got to put it down and you are not going to be finishing it. Droogs. This one, so I wasn't sure whether to include this one. It did baffle me when I first saw it, which is why I've decided to put it in here. But these are J. Kristoff fans. So J. Kristoff refers to his fans as droogs, and I think it's what his kind of fandom refer to themselves as. I'm not sure if there's anybody else that does this, because Sean said to me, he's like, oh, well, what if there's other authors who do the same thing? I couldn't think of any more, but if there are any other fan groups that have special names that have confused you in the past, please leave them down in the comments, because this one just baffled me when I first saw people saying that they were a droog. I had no idea. I don't even know if that has like a proper meaning. It's just J. Kristoff fans. Idlewise, or EW. So this is a American site, primarily American. I think you can access it all over the world, but it's mostly American publishers accepting American requests for e-arcs of their books. So as I said earlier, you can get e-arcs, which are digital advanced copies, and Alyce is one of the sites where you can request those from. I've never actually used it myself, so I'm not completely sure whether it is just American, but it seems to definitely be American publishers that use that one more prominently. FC, this is Crate, who are a book box subscription service. FL, Fairy Loot, another subscription box. FM, Fabled Merch, another book box. GB, this is Goldsboro Books, who also run GSFF, which is the Goldsboro Sci-Fi Fantasy book subscription scheme. You can sign up and you can get a new sci-fi fantasy release with exclusive sprayed edges and all the bangs and whistles sent to your door every month. IC, this is Illumicrate. NetGalley or NG, this is another site similar to Idlewise where you can get advanced copies of books digitally sent to you. This one, they have multiple different sites for different countries. So they've got like netgalley.com where you can get American publishers and it's mostly for American readers. You can get netgalley.co.uk, which is for UK publishers and readers. So lots of variety with this one. This is one that I do use, so I know that you can kind of log in different places and get the different ones. But it comes up with handy little flags that let you know whether it's available for people in your country, depending on the rights of the publishers and who they're allowed to accept. NYT, this is the New York Times. You'll often see this referred to every week because there's the New York Times bestseller list and people's books will debut on that list and they will be celebrating it. OC, this is Owlcrate. PW, that's Publishers Weekly. It's a magazine where you can learn all about the new books that are being acquired, the new kind of deals that are being announced, and the new authors that will be ones to watch. A read-along. So a read-along is when you read the book with other people to like a set schedule and you're all reading the same book. So it's a bit like a book club. A readathon, however, is when you're all reading to fulfill the same prompts, but you're not necessarily reading to fulfill the same, you're not necessarily reading the same books to fulfill those prompts. So for example, Sean and I have recently announced that we are running Ketchup-a-thon. That is a readathon, which you can get little badges for, you can get little sauce bottles to collect. So we're not expecting everybody to read the same books, but we are hoping that people will read some books to fulfill their prompts. However, at the moment, there is an Ember in the Ash along being run, and that is when everybody, once per month, is reading the Ember in the Ashes series by Sabah Tahir. So on the first month, you'd be expected to read an Ember in the Ashes, the second month, The Torch Against the Night. That's the difference between those two. You've then got reading sprints. These are normally live streams where somebody will chat to you for 5 or 10 minutes and then they'll start a timer and they'll say, right, okay, we're all going to read for 15 minutes. And then you all just read, and then at the end of that 15 minutes you have a bit of a break, have a bit more of a chat, and then you start reading again for another time increment. This seems to help people who struggle to concentrate for long periods of time. I haven't actually taken part in any personally, because normally if I start reading I don't want to stop, and the little interruptions really shake my brain up and they hurt my concentration rather than help it. But these are very, very popular on BookTube at the moment. And there are also read with me's. So these ones are normally pre-recorded and it's somebody sitting reading in real time. You might get ambient noise or rain, or it might be complete silence, or they might have gentle music on in the background, and they will sit and read for half an hour, and it gives you the excuse while you're watching that video to put everything to one side and to just sit and read with them. We then have TBR. This is your to be read list. So this is any books that you own or are interested in reading that you haven't read yet. TLB, this is the librarian box. I see this one shortened quite regularly, which is why I put that one in here. There are quite a lot of other book boxes, but I don't see those shortened as often, which is why I've just picked the ones that I've picked. You've got a unicorn. This is something that's on your wish list that you are desperately in search of. It is super duper rare. So these are things like very limited printings of specific books. If there is a book that is released that has like a printing error that then gets recalled, those will be unicorns. Manuscripts of books are often unicorns because not many of those get created. The same with ARCs. It all depends on the supply and demand on those ones. You've then got WL, which is wishlist. Any book that you want, really. Whether it's one that you're desperately in search of or one that you're only kind of interested in. Anything that you are looking for is on your wish list. And then the last one that I could think of for today was WS, which is Waterstones. And Waterstones are a UK chain of stores, bookstores, and they often do exclusive editions, and I believe they do still ship worldwide, so that's why a lot of people still talk about them. They're very popular for their Rune editions of the Cassandra Clare books, so even if you haven't specifically heard of Waterstones, you'll probably recognise the designs of those. And that is all that we could find for this bookish guide for you. We are happy to do a second instalment if there are a lot of things that people comment down below that we've missed off, but I just hope that this has helped you to get your head around the bookish community and the terms that we use, and if it's something that you've only recently picked up and this helps you, then I've done my job. I just wanted to help out a little bit and to make people feel a bit more welcomed. Make sure to check back in a couple of weeks for the guide to books with like the acronyms and things, because that is going to be a bumper video with lots of information in it. So if you like this video, please like it. If you'd like to subscribe, we'd be super duper grateful. We post new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, so you'll be seeing us again in a couple of days. Bye! I haven't muted my phone. Why would I not mute my phone? You're saying it. How are you still making noise? You're silenced. Still making noise. Baffling.